GM Farcaster. It is Wednesday, August 4th, and you are September 4th, not August 4th.
Oh,
September 4th. Right in the
maybe
wrong
our
date of my
backgrounds
check.
are confusing you.
They are confusing me. And you are here with Nana Schroff and Adrienne for 29 minutes of Farcaster news to start your day. And today, officially starting with our Powered by Base Premier sponsorship. So I'm very excited to have our new Premier partner. It's we haven't finalized all the details, so we're kind of jumping the gun a little bit because we love them anyway. So very excited to have this official thing starting today. So GM, Adrienne,
ironically, we've been powered by Base this whole time because
we have always been powered by Base. Yeah.
And,
unironically, yeah.
Yeah. Unironically, we actually are literally powered by Base. And now the show is too. Yay.
Yeah, very exciting. Very exciting. So GM, everybody, and we're gonna dive in. We've so much to chat about today. And here we go. It is both. So Links just said, wait, I thought it was Snickerdoodle on Mondays, Base on Wednesdays, TBD Friday. We'll let you know. So we are powered by many things. And let's get started. Whoops, we're not starting with that. We'll circle back to that. First up, the Fortuitous 14. And Adrienne, there seems to be somebody missing from this list.
I've dropped off the list.
I have something very important to tell you though about that.
Oh, I bet you do.
It's not your worth.
Oh,
it's not your worth. It's okay. It's not your worth.
You know what? I took inspiration from you. I didn't feel bad. I still casted. I haven't changed my behavior. I still feel good about myself. What I thought you were going to tell me is to remind me that when you're at the top, there's only one way to go.
It's true. That's true as well. So for the other 14, just know that. But it's a good looking 14, I gotta say. So the Curious Hermit, Alina Ferry, Trisel, Afro Chicks, which Naomi, we've been loving your content. Jake, Murtaza, Downshift, King, Android 16, Kristen 6, Bias, Keckers, and Ted. So Ted just hanging in there at the bottom of that 14, just saying. So
there's no top. I don't think it's ordered. Ted could be at the top. We don't know.
True.
We don't know.
It could be. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But pretty cool. And congrats to the rest. We have been bugging TLDR and bracket team for we want a bracket with I wanted a bracket at Sweet 16 when you were still in it. We might have given you a little motivation. But alas, they can't be adding anything new at the moment. So unfortunate timing, but hopefully maybe before we lose everybody. But I just think that would be fun because,
because forecasters really want to gamble on things.
Sometimes it's fun.
We need to make bets on winners and losers and make that happen, TLDR. Why do you hate us?
I know, exactly. I'm like, I need to be betting on this. If I had to bet, if I go back to this, I don't know, like Curious Hermit is killing it and came out of nowhere in my view here. So, but then again, never bet against Keckers ever. So this could go many ways, but I think any of these folks could be the last one standing, or maybe all of them. Who knows?
I might bet on King, who I think yesterday said we'll be posting nothing but the poop emoji, and I think that's a good way to stay in. Like that might just be what we need.
That might do it. That might be might be what it comes down to. And that was oops, I didn't even have that on the screen. That would have been helpful. All right, moving on. We have this from Stream TV. New updates on Stream TV added support for third-party streaming apps, OBS and Restream. Live view count now available on streams. Live chat issues fixed during live stream. All video and streams are automatically displayed on Warbcast, allowing users to comment directly from here. So we may be experimenting with this. We have not played around with it yet. So I love the idea of this. We just need to see if we can get it to work with our StreamYard platform. So we may be doing some experimenting, but this is exciting. So congrats to Stream TV for unlocking this little feature. So we'll test that out soon, but exciting. This from Dan. The single most useful thing anyone can do to help Farcaster is invite one person and be their Farcaster Sherpa for the first month. Onboard them, start a direct cast with them, make sure they keep notifications on, start sending them interesting people and casts, answer their questions, encourage them to cast in channels they might have top 10% or 1% knowledge on. And this was in response to Murtaza. There's a lot of discussion on Farcaster of getting more people to use Farcaster. I think it's obvious that you should just invite people to use it. This is how I started using it. You need to target people who actually respect the platform and would take an interest in the community. They should come from all different backgrounds, but also shouldn't have giant egos. They should be down to earth people who just like to post, share information, and interact. There already seems to be a lot of tech people in BC, so there's not an obvious point in further saturating the platform with this type of individual. There is a big world out there with diverse types of people looking for a home. I believe it's possible to build a community wherever infrastructure works. So lots of feelings here from various folks about this suggestion. A lot of comments about I've tried that, it didn't work, they didn't stick around, a lot of churn. So, yeah, thoughts?
I think I have also tried to onboard many people, and for the most part, no one has really stuck around. But I don't think that should deter us from inviting everybody else too.
Yeah,
What's the sales adage? Like you should be getting 100 no's to every one yes. And
99.
think
Yeah,
is that it's just
something like that. Yeah,
what's the downside? Like, oh, you failed? Who cares? Right? So just invite
true.
people. The downside is they create an account and they didn't create a habit and they moved on with their life. The upside is they stick around. Um, the maybe mid cases, they create the account, they don't stick around, but then who knows if it's 3 months, 6 months, 3 years in the future, something happens, they remember Farcaster and they can kind of come back with
True.
a lower FID than they would have if they only discovered it in 3 years from now.
Which again isn't your worth, but
Not your worth. And not worth anything either.
It's really interesting because I've at times been very targeted in like who I invited, thinking, okay, this person will really like it here, this person will really like it here. And the only folks who've really stuck have been crypto related folks. So far that's been the driving force to who stuck around, who retained, and who sort of contributed well to the community. The ones who were outside, even the ones who I was like, you have an expertise that I think would be very appealing. They just, for their own reasons. And I think it's something to explore a little bit more and ask the why question, just to get a better handle on what, what's sort of driving the churn. And I do think it's just like people not having time, not feeling like it's worth their time, and that's why. It's hard to change that narrative. So, but we'll still keep trying for sure. But
I mean,
yeah,
I live
yeah.
here, so not really
Yeah,
going anywhere. It'd
not
be
going
nice.
anywhere.
Yeah.
I do have like a friend that so we're gonna have a friend of mine on who's a stand-up comedian. I think it's next week that she's gonna be popping by. She's starting a stream and I invited her to pop by and sort of see it from our hosting perspective. And I'd love to ask her that question because that to me is perfect content for Farcaster. It's, getting, as long as they had video access, like most of their videos that they're posting on other social media is less than 5 minutes anyway. Really funny, engaging content. So it'd be interesting to see if we can talk her into it. So that'll be our goal. Luckily, she's not watching us right now, so she doesn't know the goal. It'll be our secret. So anyway,
I won't tell her.
don't tell her until we get her here. Okay, moving on. This from Base. For one day only, Vitalik and Ethereum Story will premiere in theaters around the globe. Buy a ticket before September 4th to be part of this decentralized world premiere. And I know that Yes to Crypto was at the top of the leaderboard and has like a special event that's going to be happening in Austin. So I'm really excited to hear more about that when the details come out about that. I don't think I can get there, but I'm excited for the premiere of this. I do have a ticket to watch it online, so excited for that. We
I'm
just
so
call them
excited for this.
NFTs, but I'm excited. I'm excited for this. I was watching some of the others. There's a couple there. If you go to ethereumfilm.xyz, it's ethereumfilm.xyz, there's a few other stories there already that are shorter, and they're actually really good. So I was watching the Uniswap one, was going to show it in class, and I was having some tech issues in the classroom, but I think that's like a great one to learn more about what Uniswap's background and the Unisocks and all that. There's another one about Constitution DAO. So it does have some other smaller shorts that are already out there. You can go check out. So very exciting. And this from Jesse, just built a 10x better on-chain feed in 4 hours. Combination of Base, on-chain kit, and Coinbase smart wallet session keys are insanely powerful. New on-chain UX paradigm. And this came from Jesse deciding he was going to stream. He said, I haven't coded for a long time. Would people be interested in streaming me going 0 to 1 on an on-chain app with Base and on-chain kit using Cursor AI today? And he did. So then he streamed it. I did miss it, unfortunately, but very cool that he jumped in and did this. So and love how this came out. It was very cute. So
Love it.
Very cool.
And Jesse went full on founder mode.
He did. He went full on founder
he's
mode.
not a manager. He's coding.
He's coding. He's right in there. Hands on, getting dirty.
But actually, that's
founder mode engaged.
Cool. Founder mode
engaged. And then this was from Ben Bassler.eth. Thinking about a frame to add USDC to the reward pool for top casters. Saw someone in the call ask about this. Curious to hear any feedback on this idea. Would folks be interested in contributing to the top casters reward pool? Which is an interesting idea. And then he built it. So anyone can now add. This is I love showing that first one just for the fact of like, and then he built it one day later.
Yeah, a story in 2 parts. Like, I think I'm going to do this. It's done.
It's done. This happens a lot, by the way. This happens a lot on here. Anyone can now add to the daily 5 USDC rewards for top casters using this frame. Build this over the weekend. The process is simple. Donate any amount of ETH to the pool on Base. Daily at 6 p.m. UTC, the pool balance gets distributed among the 5 USDC recipients, minus 5% fee. And then there's the pool contract, etc. Donate for good content on Farcaster now, and make sure you share your contributions. So that's pretty cool. Mostly impressed by how quickly he built that. So amazing. Very cool.
Did anyone contribute? Because who's contributed? Who thinks these people actually need more money?
I don't know. Maybe it's just nice. It's like a tip,
I love it.
No, I love it.
I was laughing because I immediately saw that. My first reaction was like, this is so cool. Like, let's grow the pie. And then I was like, wait, I don't want to give them more money.
I don't want to give them more money. They already get their money. But I do think it's pretty cool. And I think there could be something there if we looked at this like an advertising opportunity or a sponsorship opportunity where there was some kind of acknowledgement or something like that. So a brand adding to it to kind of shout out what they did or whatever would make sense.
But also just like programmable money is cool.
Programmable money is really cool. It's one of the reasons we're here. This from Johnny, speaking of founder mode. When I was young, all I thought about was art and music. Now I'm 36 and all I think about is founder mode. So that is our art to cover art today because funny. And this from Jan, the so-called founder mode. Is it in the room with us right now? Love that. Yeah. Love Jan. If you're not following Jan, like what are you doing with your life? This from Matthew. Has anyone done the analysis on when the best time is to cast engagement-wise? And apparently Beta Shop has, as he said, 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern. So there you go. If you were wondering, there you have it. This from Steve. Is this designed or by iOS policy? I find the in-app notifications super useful, but don't want the notifications enabled at the system level. So do you know the answer to this? I do not know.
According to community notes, aka the consensus in the replies, it's an iOS thing.
Okay. It's iOS level.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I do this all the time. So I want to do super follows. Like I want notifications in my just Warpcast alert tab when certain people cast.
Yeah.
And when I go to do super follow, it keeps telling me you need to turn on notifications in your settings. So I go and do that. I turn on my super follow. I turn off my notifications and settings, and then it shows up in my little alert.
So it's in your alerts, but it's not like driving you crazy. Got it.
It's actually, I turned it back on yesterday. So now I'm getting push notifications. I'm going to turn that off. Okay. That's annoying.
That's actually a good hack, by the way, for anybody, is putting notifications on and then having that little special sort of feed of just the people you have notifications on for, to make it a little easier to manage if you have a lot of follows on your plate and it's hard to keep up. So I do that a little bit.
How many do you have on for? Do you use it?
Not many. Yeah, I have not many on. And I probably was thinking the other day I need to turn more on because I felt like I was missing people. We were talking about July was one of those ones. There's a few others that I have to keep going and like going, oh, that person, I haven't seen them for a while. Go to their profile, like something, and then I start to see them again. Right. So I need to just go and just put notifications on for more people. So I just have a better feed there. So yeah, it's on my list of things to do, which, you know, that's a tiny list. It's not a tiny list. This from Rabinowitz, Farcaster TV Network shaping up. Drop global news and analysis on Lonely Reality TV, GM Farcaster morning show, late night crew, late night show. And this was in response to TED, new information, consumption behavior came to drop global news to see if Murtaza had shared his thoughts on the Brazil X situation, not yet based on main feed channel. So I thought that was that's pretty cool to see, and we hope that you're coming to GM Farcaster for all the Farcaster news. This was also interesting. Big ups if you're posting to Warpcast from one of these 5 cars. So we've got this was a list of devices that people are casting from: phone, tablet, TV, wearable, car, and Chromebook. So I'm guessing if it's natively coming up as car, that might be, I don't know, Teslas maybe? I don't know, maybe. And then, of course, there was this from Justin, GM casting from a horse. His name is Tank.
Okay, this is incredible because someone said, has anyone casted from a horse? And Justin has, and it's a year old. Like he was able to, it's a year old. I'm obsessed.
Yeah, it's a year old. And, you know, and also note he was responding to horse facts with a horse fact. So there you go. I know these jokes are usually only made by Toady Hawk, but I'm standing in for Toady Hawk with a really bad dad joke today. This from Rish. If you're building Farcaster notifications into your client, we now have a new API where you can mark notifications as seen by the user. Seen notifications apply across the non-Warpcast ecosystem. If you see a notification on Kiosk, it will be marked as seen on Supercast, assuming both clients use this endpoint. Will reduce notification fatigue across clients and improve user experience. So that's pretty cool. A little bit more cool stuff for decentralization and being able to see things on different platforms. This from Aneri. I love how so many embrace the freedom to use, own, remix, and earn from On-Chain Summer brand. And On-Chain Summer isn't just for everyone, it's by everyone. Here's some photos of just some of the times I IRL came across people embracing the brand permissionlessness. Share more. So that was very cool. And I did love how during On-Chain Summer they did give some branding fonts and images, and you could really play around with it. Their On-Chain Summer shops have been very cool. So good to see. This from Breach. This is me. This is me. I felt this. I felt seen. It's a daily routine at this point, 8 a.m., opening up the Purple app, 2 a.m. after saying GN to the fam. It's about right. That's pretty much me. This from Colin Kojo. Mondays are for launching rewards. Starting today, you'll automatically earn Moxie every time you make a poll or Q&A. Use Ponder. The amount will 10x the FAR score of all respondents and distributed like this. So very cool. You can be earning Moxie from using Ponder, and you can earn DGen when you're using Snickerdoodle. So lots of cool things happening on the platform. I did want to shout this out from you. Oops.
Oh, thanks. Just hit no thanks.
Thanks. No thanks. I already subscribed. Warning, post too long. And this was Adrienne's catch up on her Substack. If you're not following her Substack, some of the things you really should be. It's in our show notes. Go check it out. I do hate how Substack does that, though.
Can I change that? I think I can change
that,
right?
You can.
I don't even add subscribe buttons on like on my posts. Like, I don't care. Just read it. I want to just.
Well, it's already up here, so you don't need to be like interrupted. But this is really cool because you shared a lot of photos from your travels and they were amazing. So go check this out so you can really see some of these pictures from Belize and Portugal and all the places you've been, and Basecamp. So here was some of our pics from Basecamp that I just absolutely loved. I love the way this looks. It's so cute. And this one down here at the bottom of this this little grid here is us doing our live stream at Basecamp and laughing hysterically because we had a studio audience that day. So it was pretty amusing. Okay, next up, we got to talk about Dan's AMA, and I'm going to show a little piece of it. But I did want to shout out your notes here. So Dan did an AMA, and this is the first time he responded with video. So there's probably 5 or 6 questions he answered this way. And there's one in particular that I did want to show and talk about, but this was your notes from it. This was great. Few notes. You can build your client. Took a whole 90 seconds to come up on blocks. Very logical reasoning for why, at a certain scale, blocks are a necessity, even beyond the obvious harassment. If you can't get rid of toxic behavior, all the good actors leave. So this was his discussion of why they changed course on block versus just leaving mute in there.
Did you listen? Did you get a chance to listen to because it was about 30 minutes long? And who has 30 minutes?
I know, exactly. Who has time for that?
This is why we're on a text-based social network, because we don't have time. We can
But also the individual videos are in the AMA where he answered. So if you only are interested in 1 or 2 questions, you can go check it out. Continue on X cross posting. Was there really organ failure? I like the experiment. I think it would work better for earnest posters than ship posters, because humor is a very platform specific, whereas knowledge is knowledge. So on that experiment, this is the experiment of having some like better known Twitter posters being able to cross post to Warpcast. And we've talked about this a couple times, where their content is looking like it is organic within our feed, but it's actually a cross post to Twitter. And I think there's like a mixed result. I don't think we have enough data actually as to whether or not those folks will then actually interact on Warpcast or Farcaster. And I think it's a little too soon to make a final call on that. What do you think?
Well, it sounded like Dan was claiming organ failure, which means tried to do it and the body rejected it. Right. And like people were not liking the fact that they were seeing something that someone said, but it wasn't actually meant for Farcaster. And what I'm noticing, like I see P Marca now in my feed all the time.
Yeah.
And he does a lot, like he's trying to be funny. He does a lot of like very contextual specific. It's very Twittery. I still don't even mind it in my feed, but I can see where you're like, I don't need that here. But there's people posting on X, just like knowledge, like just factual things that are
Right.
interesting. And to me, and like that tends to be like the more earnest, like that feels much more like likely to be accepted cross-platform, because like I wrote this essay or I'm sharing this
Right.
information. Okay, I'll post it here. If people start engaging, if they have notifications turned on, the more likely to respond. Like there's a few kind of Substack writers that I follow on Twitter. I'd love to see them cross post.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a great point. I think when what you're seeing is a quote tweet and a dunk, and it's so out of like context, it doesn't hit well at all. And that threw me off a couple times where I was like, what? And then I had to click over and I didn't like that. But when I was seeing what looked like an organic cast, because it was their, original tweet or whatever, then it didn't bother me quite as much in terms of like, oh, okay, this is interesting content that I may not have seen otherwise. So I thought that was super useful. But yeah, I think like we talked last time about there are people doing some replying now. Maybe they'll do it more if they're getting engagement, but it's hard to know. So
yeah. And I think also, when Dan says, oh, it failed, organ failure, it made me think it's like, is that because he sees the complaints? Like if you don't like it, you're going to complain, and the complaints tend to be loud. And what you don't always see are the silent, like people who are just like, sure, it's fine. Like people tend not to post things they like as much. Like somehow complaining can be easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, human nature. Unfortunately. Human nature at the current moment.
so maybe if you like like tell Dan.
Yeah.
Tell Dan the things you like.
One more note on here from you on channels. I think there are some lessons from VMS vertical market software. You're trying to solve a niche with broad general solutions, but each channel will have its own specific features and behaviors. And then great format for AMA. Quite impressive how Dan can monologue into a webcam so easily, though the fluency goes to show how much he must be thinking about these things. Total founder mode in effect. So there was some really good things about channels. So do you want to show a little bit here about there was a different part that jumped out to me. So hold on one second. We're going to go to the part. So the whole thing is on YouTube. So all of his answers in a row are on YouTube. And then he also posted the individual answer over on underneath the questions. So you can look at that there as well. But this was his response to one of the things. So hopefully we can hear this.
All right. So marketing.
Let me know if you can't
classic
hear it.
Crypto intern. Surprise, we've been trying to do some of these content experiments ourselves. I think.
So we're going to stop right there. Did y'all catch that? Was surprised we've been doing some of these content experiments ourselves. To me, confirmation regarding random arrow. But what do you think? I think so.
I don't know. What you're saying, you think Random Arrow is now coming from inside the building?
I've always said that. I thought that Random Arrow was coming from inside the building. I did have a couple other suspects.
And it's horse facts? Is that it? It's horse facts.
Could be. Yeah, could be. I have thought, or I have actually thought it's multiple people, probably at different times. But like that, like working on one account. But horse facts would also be just a solid possibility. But I took that to mean that like that and maybe some other anon accounts or synonymous accounts are actually what they were playing with to test some things out. So I think that Ran is somebody from the team, but let's continue on.
Okay. I think people who have been paying attention will quickly identify some of the accounts that have been trying to do this. We also have been doing X cross posting, right? So we actually have a bunch of people in the network that have big followings on Twitter. They are on Farcaster because I either knew them or onboarded them, or they invest in the company for whatever reason. I got all of them to opt in, started cross-posting their stuff, and you immediately kind of saw organ rejection. And so I think what we have, which is a good thing, is we have a group of very sophisticated people on the network that kind of don't want to engage with content that is sloppy seconds. It's you know, it was posted somewhere else and you're just kind of seeing it here. Like that, it's a classic the meme where it's like good stuff happens on TikTok and then you see it on Reels a week later and then finally it makes it on Facebook. Like no one wants to feel like they're kind of on a downstream social network. So I think fundamentally, like that content can be useful in a world where, you know, we are at a significantly larger scale and people are just kind of doom scrolling the feed and like they're getting to the bottom of the barrel and it's like, okay, how do you inject higher quality content in there? And I think the average post like that would still be high quality because like the source material is pretty good. But I think in terms of what people are coming to the network for and what will drive the network is it has to be organic, interesting content that is originating on Farcaster, right? We have to be upstream of things in order for it to work. And I think that the challenge is organic, interesting content is hard, right? It is not actually like a short 2-sentence post. It can be, but actually it's very context specific. So I'll give you an example. Whether or not he's your cup of tea, Naval is pretty famous on Twitter. He's got 2 million followers, you know, huge, you know, public career in Silicon Valley, a lot of experience, a lot of angel investing. PG is another good example of this. Yeah. When those accounts put a 2-sentence tweet out, that has a lot of value because it's actually compression for that person's entire lived experience, which people find useful because a lot of people want to be like those people in terms of their success level. If you're just like a random account, a 2-sentence cast is actually a lot less useful. Now, if you kind of somehow tap into some fundamental philosophical truth or reframe and the kind of the actual truth of that cast is useful, great. But I think that in of itself is extremely difficult. And so the kind of like idle observation from a less known account is less valuable. So the most valuable thing a network like Farcaster can actually do is when someone takes the time to kind of write up their perspective on something new that's happening, whether that's something in crypto or some new technology or some political event. I think Murtaza is actually a great example of an account that is taking stuff that's happening in the world of geopolitics and he's offering his point of view on top of that in a bit longer form, right? It's not like he's writing a full blog post, although he has some of those. He's often writing, you know, kind of a 600 or 800 character cast, but that kind of content,
a long cast,
if you scale that 100x or 1000x, that is actually the stuff that starts to be really useful because when people show up to a network like Farcaster, they're coming for a variety of different reasons. But if you were to kind of want to attract other really smart people, which actually, if you kind of think of that as like the core of what makes a text-based social network, like word cells, like people who are really good at writing, they want to read other really smart takes. And by doing that, and it can actually also be humor, by the way, but it has to be like really funny. And so when you don't actually hit that level of textual output, whether that is kind of like something that's more kind of, you know, nonfiction versus like humor, I think that is where the network really struggles. And so I think that the kind of like just reposting other stuff on other networks, basically it's like, okay, I could get this on Twitter, but I can also get like some of the smartest people in the world on Twitter. And so I think we have a lot of smart people on Farcaster, but it's like figuring out how do you get those people to produce that content.
Okay, so yeah, you guys need to be smarter and funnier in your cast is what it comes down to.
Exactly.
Do better.
It's not that deep. It's not that deep. Just be smart and funny.
Yeah.
Okay, but can we also talk, how the heck does Dan just monologue into a webcam so fluently? Like, that's not human.
Yeah, but we kind of, well, I mean, we do it, but we have each
No.
other. Yeah, but we pretty much, yeah.
We do not. If you were alone, if I was alone, I would not
I've
be able to
done
get
this
4 words
alone.
out.
I have done
No,
this
I haven't.
alone. Remember?
Oh, you
You haven't, but I
yeah.
have,
Oh, you
and
have.
it's not that hard if you have content you're playing off of, which he is. So he's just answering the question just like he would if he was typing it out, except he's doing it on video. I loved this comment. Dan's AMA was great. It definitely gave you a different view of the thought process. It would be great if Dan did monthly videos like this, Lunch with Dan, or, Dan, just another option here, DWR. You're welcome to come on here anytime and answer questions. We'd love that. So I did think this was a great format because it also, I think sometimes when you're answering these questions, especially because he answers them so often, like he'll answer this a lot, you might get a little stale in your text-based answers. So this was
Yeah.
good.
I can't pull this on the screen because it's in Unlonely. Feature request, Grace and Brian. But Trevor 69, I'm trying to be funnier, but I also try to look dumber so people undervalue me.
That's one thing.
Which is a very crypto thing to say.
That's one way to go. Undervalue me so I can buy myself low. My fan token. Anyway, the rest of the AMAs on YouTube. We will have the link in our show notes. And I'd say go give it a listen because I think it had some really valuable information, and it's always helpful to see those perspectives. So that is all. Anything else that I may have missed, Adrienne? Before
but I want to
call it.
Just make sure we remind everyone about next Friday,
yes,
September 13th. You probably already have it in your calendar, and if you do not, save the date. We're doing a 24-hour stream to celebrate GM Farcaster 1-year anniversary. Lots of fun things happening that day, and we have a special guest on Friday.
We do. Yes, very exciting. Oh, so Friday we're going to be at a little different time too. We're going to be at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, because we have a special guest who is
Robin from Moshicam /gallery /DJs /everyone's BFF on Farcaster.
That is the man. Very exciting. And one other thing before we close, today I'm going to be airdropping the next Here for the Art piece by Renee Campbell. Yeah, exactly. What could go wrong? Friday the 13th, 24-hour stream. I'm sure it'll be fine. So we have our next Here for the Art piece with Renee Campbell. So this is going out to our Hypersub folks today and will be available for others to mint. And this is the first peek at this. Adrienne hasn't seen it. It's a really different style for her. I'm very excited. And here it is. So here is your first look at this amazing piece from Renee Campbell. If you're not familiar with Renee, she does macro photography and different types of photography with Flora. And so if you look in the Flora channel, you'll see all her different styles. Super excited about this. And then right after actually tomorrow, we'll be dropping the Hear from the Art podcast with Renee, where it was like her first real interview, I think. So very excited to drop that, and you can learn more about her art and her artist journey. Yeah, so that is it from me. And we will see you Friday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll be a little bit later with Robin from Moshicam. So very excited. And we will see you all then, everybody. Bye-bye.